What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of Go Talk with Marcus, powered by products, fueled by Go Fuel, and presented by the Give Us a Shot Network. Joining me tonight is one half of JT and the Don JT, and we have a stacked show tonight. Jimmy Butler torched the Bucks last night as the Heat take a commanding 3-1 lead. Dylan Brooks poked the bear, and now he's paying for it. Boston, Atlanta, Denver, and Minnesota, they're all 3-1. Someone's going home tonight, maybe. We're going to talk about whether or not this Warriors game against the Kings game 5 is must win for Golden State. The Clippers are yet again suffering thanks to the sins of Kawhi Leonard, and the Sixers haven't played basketball in 4 days. We'll talk about whether that's good or bad. All that next.
Give them a shot to do what?
JT, man, what's up, bro? How you doing?
What's going on, man? I guess since we're both under the same sort of contract, we got to work together now. I know how much this is. It's like pulling teeth for you, but I gotta listen to what you gotta say. You gotta listen to what I gotta say. But nah, man, thanks for having me on. It's always a good time, though.
It is always a good time. Where's Don when you need him? You know, where's Don?
Hey, man. Hey, you can't call him Superman if he don't show up in your time of need, man. He's not here to save you, so you one-on-one.
There's a lot to talk about, though. And we'll start with the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler put on what is 100% it's up there as one of the best playoff performances of the last decade or so. He dropped 56 last night, and what was the ultimate backpack job for the Miami Heat as they take a 3-1 lead over the Milwaukee Bucks. I think of all the teams to be up 3-1, the Heat being up 3-1 over the Bucks was definitely not on anyone's bingo card, I don't think. I guess it's a crazy question, but well, JT, you're crazy. So maybe it is on your bingo card. But like, are they done? Are the Heat good? Are they moving on to the next round, or do they still need to be wary of the 3-1 comeback?
I mean, it's really rare for that to happen, and the Bucks aren't exactly screaming like, "Oh, this is something we can fix overnight and just win out." Yeah, I think it's done. I just think that Giannis' injury and then the ineffectiveness of Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, which I'm really shocked about, because that was the excuse last year for Bucks apologists like yourself was, "Oh man, if we had Chris Middleton,
Bucks apologists."
You're always hyping up the Bucks. I feel like that's your team.
Not a Bucks apologist. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. But
no, where you got that from? You've been
it's online somewhere. It's on Reddit, bro. You need to go check that out.
You got the wrong black guy. I promise you. You think about Justin. I'm not a Bucks apologist. I thought that I didn't think the Bucks would have beaten the Celtics last year, even with Chris Middleton. I screamed that from the rooftops. I got yelled at for it, but
that's what everybody. That was their thing last year. It's like, oh, if we had Chris Middleton, yeah, it would have been a lock. But like, you got him, and he's not going as planned. It's inconsistent at best, and Drew Holiday has just been really disappointing to me, especially in the last game. They just played. I think it was like 6 for 19 from the field. I mean, he looking like Eric Bledsoe in this series, man. Like, I just don't know what's going on with the Bucks. I don't know if it's just they've just played too many games. Like maybe Giannis' heart just isn't in it because the retirement thing leaked this year, which I don't think is a coincidence. And then you're going up against a Heat team who they're going to be pedal to the metal regardless of who's out there. And Jimmy Butler is just top 3 playoff dog in the league, like whenever the playoffs start. So I just think it's a bad matchup for them, man.
That's a fair point. I mean, you look at I'll be honest, when you look at game 2, when Giannis didn't play in that game because of the back, for the Bucks to win that game the way that they did, I think that had a lot. And I was one of those people that this could spell trouble for the Heat if they're losing this bad and it was a 16-point deficit, but that game wasn't really all that close for much of it. And if that's how the Heat were going to play in game 2 without Giannis, imagine what was going to happen. And they've come back and they won the last 2. Obviously, last night they came back from behind. The Bucks choked that when they ended up winning down by 5, of course, thanks to Jimmy Butler's 56. But the Heat are such a tough team to root for, and they're such a tough team really to gauge come playoff time because it takes a lot of these Herculean efforts from Jimmy Butler for the Heat to stay in these series. Like, I don't know. This is never a recipe for success. Like, Jimmy's not going to average 50 the rest of the way.
You're just always waiting for the other shoe to drop when it comes to like the way they play.
Yes, 100%. Because I think when you look at Bam Adebayo, he's been extremely inconsistent on both sides of the floor. Kyle Lowry has been inconsistent. Tyler Hero hasn't been playing much. Like, Jimmy Butler's not going to be able to sustain this for next series. They'll win this series fine. I think this series is done in 5. I don't think the Bucks win game 5. But like, we're not gonna see Jimmy doing these crazy things in the next series. I don't think. I'm not saying he can't. It's just not a way to sustain winning. I think we're at the point with the Heat where the guys that are there that are supposed to step up, they need to step up because Jimmy's gassed. Like,
but this is how we roll. We've been rolling this way since the bubble. Like, you started off this show and I'm crazy. I mean, sometimes I am really crazy, but I mean, is this really any different than some of those like LeBron James teams, like in Cleveland, where they're like, oh, like how is this team good? And then LeBron just puts them on his back, and then next thing you know, like they're in the Eastern Conference Finals or they're sneaking into the finals. Like, I think it's time we need to start looking at Jimmy Butler like past how we feel about him personally, and we need to start giving him his props. Like, this is the shit that LeBron would do. Just put the team back and by any means necessary, just beat anybody that's in front of us.
And I think here's the thing, I think it pains me to say, and we'll talk about it in a second, I do think that the Knicks have their series wrapped up. So for all things considered, the Heat are going back to the conference finals. I think it's safe to say that. I don't see a scenario where the Knicks can beat the Heat. I know the Heat are obviously the lower seed, but still, like, they're also the better team. Like, when healthy, they are the better team. And that's no disrespect to Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle or RJ Barrett and what they've got going on up there, because obviously it's working for them. They're on pace to they're eyeing their first playoff series win in a little over a decade, if not a decade exactly. So, and that is something to be proud about if you are a Knicks fan and if you just love Knicks basketball. But the Heat, I don't want to write off the Knicks before the series starts, but this performance, what we've seen from Jimmy over the last 3 games, or for the last 2 games really at home in Miami, has pretty much locked in for me the Heat going to the conference finals, whether that's against the Celtics or that's against the Sixers. I would be utterly shocked if they don't make it past the Knicks at this point.
Oh, please let us play the Sixers. Please let us play the Sixers so we can get this shit over with. Like, I'm so tired of hearing about, who should be MVP, how this team is so good. Like, just go out there and get it done. Win your awards, win your series, win your championship. Like, I almost just want the 76ers just to win so we can just move past this era that we've been stuck in.
We have been stuck in this lull with the 76ers over the past couple of seasons. But like I mentioned, the New York Knicks up 3-1 against the Cavs. They are eyeing their first playoff series win in just about a decade. Are you shocked at the way that this series has unfolded to this point where the Cavs are facing elimination for game 5?
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm not shocked. I mean, this is kind of what I expected because the Cavs, well, first of all, my criticisms of Donovan Mitchell have been well documented, whether people have agreed with them or not. But this is the problem with the Cavs. Like, once you get past that starting 5, like, what do you have? Like, Karis LeVert, Jasmine, like, you can't even name the other guy, Ricky Rubio, who's like basically had no ACLs for the past 24 months. Like, This is what you're counting on to get a spark in playoff basketball when that starting 5 is on the court. And then let's not talk about Jared Allen and Evan Mobley basically kind of canceling each other out. And that's been all year before the playoffs. Sure. So you're basically relying on Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. And I'm sorry, that's not enough to get it done, because as soon as those guys go to the bench, the Knicks just have more depth, man. And it's like, that's not a Tom Thibodeau thing usually, where he gives guys, chances to play that don't normally start. But they got some guys that have had to play a lot of minutes. Grimes, Hardenstein, you know what I'm saying? Like, those guys have experience. Even Obi Toppin for a little bit. Yeah. I just think that they're just too deep for the Cavs roster, and it's really shown up in this series.
That is true. I do. So going into it, obviously in the offseason, this was definitely a trade that you look at for the Cavs, and you say this is definitely getting Donovan Mitchell puts them up into one step closer to the upper echelon of teams in the Eastern Conference. Obviously not yet.
And I disagreed with that when it happened, just because we already saw this movie in Utah. Like, Utah had a good team around him. Like, regardless of him and Rudy Gobert didn't get along, like, is Donovan Mitchell, like, is he Jimmy Butler? That's basically what he has to be. And like, I just haven't seen it yet. And him being in Cleveland just proves it.
I don't think he's Jimmy Butler yet. I do think though that the Cavs, just as you alluded to, like the focus this offseason has to be depth for the bench. It just has to be. When you look at this Eastern Conference and you look at how tough these teams are and how physical these teams are, and you look at, for the most part, how deep these teams are, like if you're gonna compete with the best of the best, if you're gonna be competing for potentially coming out of the East and a championship with Donovan Mitchell as the guy on the team, you're gonna have to get a bench. And I think that was a part of the problem in Utah. Like, to your point, aside from the fact that he didn't get along with Rudy Gobert and all that other stuff, like Utah really lacked true depth. And at the time, always in the playoffs, but especially at that particular time in the West, like that was the thing. Like, we're talking about the rise of Donovan Mitchell when the Clippers were one of the deepest teams of basketball, and then the Suns became one of the deepest teams of basketball. Like, depth is what wins you playoff series, because you need more than just the three best guys on the roster to show up and show out on a game-to-game basis come playoff time. The Cavs don't have that. The Cavs also don't have a wing. Like Isaac Okoro is not the guy to be. He's not.
That's the other guy's name I couldn't remember in the sea of nothingness.
Yeah, he's very forgetful because he does nothing. Like, he is not. So there are a lot of issues with the Cavs fundamentally, as far as depth is concerned, as far as that wing is concerned, and we know how important the wing can be. You look at Andrew Wiggins and how crucial he was to the Warriors last year on their championship run. Obviously, you're talking about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum up there in Boston and how great they are together, both as wings. Like, wings are important. The Cavs don't have one, and that's another big reason why they have been struggling over the past couple of years. That's a big reason why they've struggled in this series. All that being said, though, I'm still not going to share praises for Julius Randle or RJ Barrett because they still refuse to go right. And if we're being completely honest, the Knicks are in this position because of Jalen Brunson. Like, Jalen Brunson has been the guy from opening tip of this series until now, and even into Game 5. Like, he has been the rock. He has been the number one option, and he is the only person that deserves any type of legit credit for what we've seen, because no one else on that roster has been able to go, is even capable of going toe-to-toe with Donovan Mitchell, and he's done it several times. In a couple games, he's outplayed Donovan Mitchell, which in the course of Donovan Mitchell's career as a basketball player at this level in the playoffs, there's not many people that can say that they've outplayed Donovan Mitchell. Jalen Brunson has put himself on that list.
Almost makes it even worse that like Brunson couldn't even get into the All-Star game. I think this series is all about Brunson. Like, it's been about him all season. I mean, we both loved the move when the Knicks made it. I thought he was great last year in Dallas. I mean, call me crazy like you normally do, but I'm willing to say that Jalen Brunson probably has a top 5 bag of tools when it comes to scoring around the basket of any player in the league. Like, it's just uncanny how he does things, man. He's just always calm. Like, you can't speed him up. He plays at his own pace. He's very efficient. And that's really what the Knicks have lacked, because Randall's raw talent. I think RJ Barrett is trash, but I mean, people seem to love him. And they've got.
You're always waiting for the shoe to drop with RJ. You want to talk about waiting for the shoe to drop?
Well, he can't shoot.
Waiting for the shoe to drop.
He can't shoot.
Have a couple good games in a row, and then he just regresses back to the mean, and you remember why he's not a franchise guy. RJ Barrett is the epitome of inconsistency, and he never shows up when you need him to show up ever.
Because it's not his game. Like, he's not a good guy with percentages. He can't shoot from the field, and he can't hit free throws, which I really don't understand why you can't, because that's literally what you focus on as a basketball player to get better. I just don't understand. But nonetheless, I guess he's a solid number 4, and he can have his moments. Randall, I think, gets a lot of hate, but I mean, his game is not really clean, but I mean, it's effective when you need it. And I mean, the thing that's really surprised me about this series is how dominant the Knicks have been when their starting 5 has their own issues. They can't shoot any threes. So how are you dominating this team when you can't shoot threes? Like, is it that everyone's just being really efficient, or are the Cavs really this bad? Like, I can't wrap my head around that.
Defensively, the Cavs do leave a lot to be desired, especially when you're talking about the backcourt. I offensively, I agree with you. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen do cancel each other out. Defensively, they also cancel each other out, but that is still a tough front court to go up against when you're talking about these two guys that are upwards of, if not both of them, at least they're close to 7 feet tall with like over 7'3", 7'4" wingspans.
They feel 7-footers out there, regardless
But
with the depth chart.
This backcourt leaves a lot to be desired defensively. The Knicks have been mid-range warriors from game 1 to game 4, and they've won 3 of the 4 games because of it. And you're right. In today's NBA, it is shocking to think that a team who struggles as much as the Knicks do beyond the 3-point line can be up 3-1 in a series when all you see for most of the NBA season is teams jacking up threes over the course of the game. It's gotten to the point now where it's more threes than anything else, and they're not that good at it, and they're leading in the series 3-1. Like, it's not – I don't want to write the Cavs off completely because I do
Go ahead and write that check. It's done. Sign it. Sign it like it was a bonus, man. It's over.
At the very least, maybe they get this one back at home in game 5, but they're done in game 6. And I don't even know if they can get the one done in game 5. There's just too much momentum on the side of the New York Knicks. Like, and I know a lot of people think that momentum is such an overrated thing, but when you outclass a basketball team the way that the Knicks have outclassed the Cavs both games at home, it's really hard to think that they're going to be able to go back home to Cleveland and the Knicks won't have this wave of momentum, and Jalen Brunson won't continue to do what he's been doing, which is be the best player on the floor on either team. It's just hard to think it. So I don't like saying positive things about the Knicks because I think that
because it's the Knicks. Like, their fans alone make it hard for anybody to want to wish well for them. Yeah. It's the Knicks, man. But I mean, here they are about to win the playoff series and make some noise in the playoffs. Never thought I would say that.
Never. I agree with you. I never thought I'd say it anyway. So let's talk about another team that has become super annoying. That's really young and such short over. Dillon Brooks, about 4 days ago, decided to poke the bear, and he said that he's not afraid of LeBron James because LeBron James is old, and all LeBron James and the Lakers have done is beat on the Grizzlies. Now, last night's game was a tight one. It did take overtime to get it done, but the Lakers are up 3-1. Did you expect all these months ago around trade deadline time that we talking about the Los Angeles Lakers being a game away from the conference semifinals of the NBA playoffs?
I did, because I felt that they were in Memphis the first round. I just knew that matchup for a bunch of young kids with mouths that hadn't proven anything. And I'm like, this is a bad matchup for a team that has LeBron James and all these veteran guys. They're flying under the radar. They're just getting healthy. Like, the pressure is really off of them as far as performance and expectations. Everything's on the Grizzlies. And right on cue, they're folding, man. And I don't know if you saw the video, but did you see the video of, I think it was the Saturday game where LeBron kind of went up to Dillon Brooks and talked to him? I think it was on the sideline before the game. Yeah. Do you know what he said to him?
I do not know what LeBron said.
So I don't know if somebody photoshopped this or this is some great editing job, but basically they showed the video and what was said to him. And if that is really what LeBron said to Dillon Brooks, it makes sense why they're struggling and why Dillon Brooks is basically turned into a nobody that we thought he was. Basically went up to him and was like, "You're not that guy. I know it. You know it. You out here messing around, doing the wrong shit." Basically, like, you know, I'm about to show everybody that you're not really that guy. That's basically what LeBron went up to him. He went up to him and said that to him, almost like with a Dark Knight Joker-like smile on his face. And Dillon Brooks sat there and said nothing, which lets me know that Dillon Brooks talks all that shit to me, but when LeBron face-to-face, he knew what it was. Like, this is the GOAT. It's the all-time league scorer. Like, LeBron wants you dead is going to happen most times. So I just think that he's caused them this series with his mouth, which is why the report came out that they tried to move him at the deadline. And now they're saying that if they lose this series, he's basically off the team. This is because he wrote a check that the Grizzlies couldn't cash. And you can't be that guy when you don't score. You're not a part of the offense. You're not helping us win. Like, this is not the 90s, not the 80s. Like, you just can't play defense and be on the court. Like, you got to contribute. You can't be out there airballing three-pointers wide open in the biggest game of the year. And I think Dillon Brooks knows it. Like, I don't want to cuss on your show, but I'm going to just do this one time. He fucked up. He fucked up.
No, he did. He did. 100%. He did. Look, And ever since then, ever since he poked the bear, Dylan Brooks has exhibited nothing but non-grown man behavior. Like he's gone as far as to say that the media have made him the villain. No, like you did that.
You made yourself the villain.
Nobody told you to say that LeBron is old and say that you're like you chose to do that, and now you want to show up for media availability. Now that
nobody told Dylan Brooks to go out here and go all Freddie Mitchell on us. Like nobody told you to do that. You could have just showed up, let him drop 25, 30 on you, and nobody would have cared if you just kept your mouth closed.
This is the thing. If someone like Ja said this, or if someone like Jaren Jackson said this, and he's not even like, he doesn't have the personality of this, but even if like a Desmond Bain said this, you at least say, oh, okay, because they bring something to the table consistently on a night-to-night basis. What does Dylan Brooks do for 25 some odd minutes a game other than get cardio and run up and down the court for 25?
Really what he's doing is
like,
he thinks he's Draymond Green. That's what he thinks he is.
He's not. Like, listen, look, we have seen a plethora of players over the course of LeBron James' career do this, assume this antagonizing villainy role.
LeBron stoppers.
Right? The LeBron stoppers, right? We saw, I don't remember who it was, but it was when LeBron first got to the league, there was a guy, his last name was Stevenson. He did it. I know that Jay-Z ended up getting involved somehow.
Lance Stevenson?
No, not Lance, but another Stevenson. Then there was Lance Stevenson wanted to blow in LeBron's ear, and he ended up on LeBron's team. And then there's Draymond, and Draymond's become the biggest LeBron stan on the face of the planet. And talk about how he's going to show up to the game when LeBron breaks the record and all this other stuff. Like, I don't know what Dylan Brooks expected. I don't know who Dylan Brooks thought he was talking to, but LeBron James isn't one of them. Like, I don't understand what the thought process was. Like, you're not the first. If you write down a list of players of it, the roster of the Grizzlies, and you order them by importance, I don't think Dylan. There's only 15 guys.
I think Brooks is 4. I'm not going to go that far. I think he plays a role.
What does Dylan Brooks bring to the table?
I think he gets under people's skin. I feel like if this was any other team but the Lakers and LeBron, like I could see this getting under people's skin and it working. Like he could get a hot head ejected.
Sure.
He could play solid defense. Not a scoring. Like, we know he can't really do that, but
he can put a ball in the net for anything.
Yeah, I mean, but that works. I mean, I'm not gonna act like it hasn't worked for them. Like they've been a great team regular season wise over the past 2 years, and Dylan Brooks has been a part of that. It's just you got to know your limitations, man. Like this is the GOAT. Like would you do that shit to Jordan? No. So why would you think it would fly with LeBron? Like you thought you weren't gonna get the same type of ass whooping by poking the bear because it's LeBron.
I don't understand. I think we've gotten to a point. I just don't know. Like I don't know what to do with the Grizzlies at this point because they're not bereft of talent.
Stop kissing their ass. That's what
all year long. We keep doing this. The thing with the Grizzlies where they keep like Josh started with saying he's fine in the West. You're gonna be sent home in the first round. Like
he was until everybody came to the West.
Like the Grizzlies aren't there yet, and they keep talking like they are there. And I understand that there's like you want to be confident, you want to believe in yourself, but you're not there yet. Like from a roster standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, from a experience standpoint, like you're not there yet. And rather than this isn't a fake it till you make it type of thing. Like either you have it or you don't. And the Grizzlies don't have it. And they need to stop.
Do they though? I just think it's a bad matchup for them, man. It's a bad matchup.
I do not find the Grizzlies as a threat in the West at this point.
I got to disagree with you on that because I think what we're also doing is I think we're underrating what the Lakers are doing. Like this is really amazing. LeBron is playing like LeBron. Anthony Davis is leading all players in the playoffs in rebounds and blocks. That's a major thing. Like considering that the Grizzlies have the defensive player of the year on their team, he's not leading any team or any players in any of those categories. It's Anthony Davis. And then you're getting these random great games from D'Lo, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, who I thought was trash, has been really good this series.
That's what DC does too.
Yeah, it's a bust. Yeah, once you get free at DC, everybody balls out. But it's a bust saw. I'm not gonna diss the Grizzlies and say they're not good because their record speaks for itself.
It's not that they're not good. They're a good basketball team. The Grizzlies have not proven to be that team when it matters. Like they have not proven to be that team come postseason time. and they continue to carry themselves as if they are. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with being confident, but you also have to be very aware of like where you stand in the pecking order of things, not just in your conference, but in the league. And you're right. I do think that to a degree that what the Lakers are doing is a little bit underrated. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it is LeBron James' team. And despite the fact that he is 30 years old in year 20, a lot of people still expect a lot of great things out of LeBron. But the Grizzlies still aren't that team. Like I don't. This could be a matchup thing, but the Grizzlies. What have the Grizzlies done in the postseason of note to make me think?
All right, cool. Let's talk about it. I didn't want to go here.
The things that they are saying.
I don't want to go here, but I'm gonna ask you this question: at what point do we start looking at the coach? I don't even know his name, which is embarrassing. I always call him Michelob Mike. So
his name is Taylor Jenkins, and I only know that because I do rebuilds with the Grizzlies all the time on 2K. That's
at what point do we start looking at him?
No, I 100% agree with you. I think I have at some point in time, every young team needs a veteran head coach that's been around the block a few times that can reel them in and get them focused. Maybe that guy is Nate McMillan. I don't know. He was doing
Nate,
it,
man.
Nate
need a fair shake, man.
Nate is amazing. Do you not like Nate was that guy for Atlanta before he started beefing with Trae Young, right? Perfect example of a veteran guy going to a young team and making things happen is Mike Brown this season with the Kings, right? Like I think that Quinn Snyder is an option. I think that Kenny Atkinson is an option. Like there needs to be a maybe Nick Nurse. He just got fired by the Raptors. Like
don't get him. He's horrible.
I don't know, but I'm just saying like there needs to be a veteran coach who's been around the block a few times that is respected that can go into this locker room and get all these young guys to focus on what the goal is. The goal is not to drop sound bites every other night and piss off the opposing team. The goal is to win the championships and to build chemistry and to focus on your strength and to gel together and to legitimately be a threat. I don't think the Grizzlies are bad. I don't think Taylor Jenkins has necessarily tapped into the potential of all these players. I don't. And I don't think he has a good grip.
I don't think he can control the team. Like you got guys like Ja and Dylan. Like it's damn near going to take Phil Jackson to get those guys right. So I mean, he just might be not. He doesn't have enough cachet to get those guys to act right.
And like I said, I don't know if that's McMillan. I don't know if that's Atkinson. I don't know. I don't know who that is going to be. But there's
Mark Jackson. Go get my dog Mark Jackson and give him another shot, man.
He's
sitting there on the sidelines waiting, man.
I don't know, but you're 100% right. I do think at some point we need to start looking at Taylor Jenkins because he hasn't been doing that great of a job from the intangibles standpoint as far as getting these guys focused and reeling them in.
But I'll play devil's advocate, and I obviously not calling for the guy's job, but
sure,
is he a coach? He's maxed out on his potential, or is he like a Mike Budenholzer where he just needed a change of scenery and you were right there before this guy reached championship level of coaching? You know what I'm saying? Like you just never know.
This could just not be the place for him. You're right. Like this could just not be the place, and it could be a mismatch on both sides. I don't know exactly where he's at in his I don't know where he's at in his contract and things like that. I don't know exactly what that looks like. I'm not all that familiar with where he's at with the Grizzlies and how he stands. But I do think, though, in the next year or two, we should be looking at a new head coach for the Grizzlies because that's a great point. There needs to be someone that can control this team and get them focused and reel them in.
Give him 1 year without Dillon Brooks, and let's see how this goes.
1 year without Dillon Brooks could be all he needs. That could be the switch. Like that's the thing. Either it's Dillon Brooks or Taylor Jenkins, and it could be both.
Or it's Ja. I know we don't want to say it, but
it could be Ja. You're right. I don't disagree. It could be Ja. Like that. That is definitely that's an option. That's an option that exists. It could be Ja. Let's stay in the West and let's talk about the Golden State Warriors. So last week on the show, Justin was here and I was talking about how I don't know if the Warriors, because of how bad they've been on the road, I do not know if the Warriors can win this game, can win this series without winning Game 5. I know the Kings don't have much experience, but they're young, they're exuberant. Mike Brown is a great coach. I don't know if the Warriors can go to Sacramento in a Game 7 situation and win that game. Does that make Game 5? Do you agree with that? Is Game 5 – because to me, I think Game 5 is must-win if the Warriors want to win the series. Do you think Game 5 is must-win for the Warriors?
Come on, Marcus. we're really gonna do this. We gotta disrespect Steph Curry, Klay
No, we're
Thompson,
not being
Draymond Green.
disrespectful.
We gotta
This is
disrespect Steve Kerr.
in the
We,
history
we
of
gotta disrespect the
in
Golden
the
State Warriors, who a lot of people,
basketball.
including Don himself, have said this is the best dynasty.
Bro, I
It's the
know who's
best
on the roster.
dynasty.
I
That
know who's
shit
on the
does not
roster.
matter where they play. Forget all the regular season stuff. Like,
We're
you trying to tell me what's
on
the
the
one
road,
team,
bro.
what's the one team you don't want to play right now, regardless of where it is in the Game 7 situation? It's the Golden State Warriors.
Honestly,
Because you know if the Golden State Warriors have survived 6 games, you already know what to expect. That's when Steph, Klay, and Draymond are at their brightest, man. It's
don't
when
disagree.
shit is on the line.
I don't disagree, but when you look at
Let the analytics go, man. I know you're a
No,
very analytical guy. Just let it go.
they don't look good on the road. Just watching them play basketball, they don't look the same. It's like two completely different basketball teams. I understand it's the Warriors, and I understand they've been in a lot of situations they've been in a lot of pressure situations over the course of this run. I know, and I hate that I sound like Justin right now, because I got on Justin's show a couple months ago, and I got on Justin about trying to push this narrative that the Warriors are in trouble towards the end of the regular season because of the road splits. It's not. I do not know if the Warriors can win a Game 7 in Sacramento. I'm not saying they can't. I just wouldn't put money on it.
And
Like,
I'm saying if I was a team and I had to pick any team in the NBA to play in a Game 7, regardless of where it's located, I can even have home court. The Warriors is the last team I want to see.
But I think both things can be true, right? I think when you look at it, the Warriors have obviously won 2 in a row at home, so they've stolen back the momentum. Like, they were down 2-0 going into Game 3, going back at home, right? And so we knew that those 2 games were definitely crucial, because you don't want to go down 3-0. Obviously, you definitely don't want to go down 3-1. They've obviously come back from down 3-1 before, all those years ago, but you don't want to be down 3-1 no matter whether or not you've done it or not. So they win these 2 games. They have all the momentum. I feel like this Game 5, a win in Game 5 for the Warriors could put an end to the Kings come Game 6. I don't think the Kings can. I don't know if the Kings are going to come back. I think Game 5 is the game where the Warriors have to come out the way they came out in Game 3, have to come out the way they came out in Game 4, and stomp on the Kings. Don't give them any kind of hope going back into San Francisco for Game 6. I do think that this game for the Warriors, it's not must win from a standpoint of they're going to lose the series if they don't win it. I just think when you look at the way that it's all swung, now that the momentum is fully back on their side, now that Jordan Poole has seemingly found himself, because he was not playing all that well the first 2 games of the series, and Andrew Wiggins is still playing good ball, and like Draymond Green is apparently okay with coming off the bench, and that has worked for them so far through a game. Like, I do think that that's what needs to happen. I do think we need to see somehow the home Golden State Warriors in Sacramento for Game 5, and not the terrible road Warriors that we've seen up until this point.
Regular season Steph and playoff Steph.
2 different people. You're absolutely
different
right.
people.
You're absolutely right.
That's all I'm gonna say about that.
I just think I do think both. I think we can. I think in this universe, both things can be true.
That is the best player in the playoffs when it counts.
100%. No, 100%. And I would go as far as to say, and this could be a crazy thing to say. I don't know if anyone's ever said this before, so I'm going to say, and I genuinely think this. Steph Curry's 35 years old. He obviously won the back-to-back MVPs in 15 and 16. I think Steph Curry is better now than he was 7 years ago. I do. I say crazy shit. Jeez. No, I think the way when you watch Steph Curry play basketball now, and the control that he has on a game now, and the handle he has on it, and the ability to just flip that switch, like we've seen. One of the things that we had troubles with Steph Curry early on, especially when KD got there for those 4 years, was the ability for Steph Curry to put the team on his back. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that he wasn't really put in a position to have to do that because he was playing alongside Kevin Durant. Since KD's been gone, and since they've had these injuries, and of course, when the championship last season, we've seen Steph Curry he's put on a lot of backpack jobs for the Warriors over the last 2 or 3 years. And this Steph Curry is built for that. I don't know if that Steph Curry back then, the 2-time reigning MVP and the first ever unanimous MVP, I don't know if that Steph Curry would have been built for the backpack job the way that this Steph Curry is now. And I think that's what makes him better now than he was then. He's more efficient. He's still extremely lethal, right? Like you're still terrified of him as soon as he has the ball, as a step over half court because he's the greatest shooter of all time. But the ability to flip that switch and like put the team on his back in those crucial situations, I think that's the one thing that consistently he was missing. And now he's had to do it and he's done it. And now he does it like it's nothing. And that is why he is the best player in the playoffs, because he's able to just flip that switch. And it doesn't take him long to flip it. Like you'll know if it's a backpack job from the first shot he puts up, what kind of game it's going to be for Steph. And that's the crazy thing, that whatever that first shot is, if that first shot goes in, those first 3 shots go in, and you start to see him go on a run like that, that is usually how you can tell how the game's going to go. I think this version of Steph Curry, while obviously 7 years older than that Steph Curry, I think this one's better. He has better control over the game and the ability to put the team on his back in a way that not many small guards in the modern era in the last 5, 10, 15 years have been able to do. And that's what makes him so special and so unique, and obviously one of the greatest players of all time.
Oh, y'all heard it here first, man.
Let's go back to the East. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics and the Atlanta Hawks. And let's talk about the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Both teams are on pace for a sweep. Where the Celtics and the Nuggets, until of course the Timberwolves and the Hawks stole one. Are you concerned about either team? Are both these series done in 5?
Yeah, I feel like the Hawks are done before the playoffs. Like it's a mess. It's Trae Young. Trae Young is the problem. He's always been the problem, and I don't know how many coaches you got to go through to realize that he's the problem. So, not shocked that the Hawks are struggling, and it's a bad matchup for them.
Sure.
And with the Nuggets, I just think that people get caught up in this, does Jokic deserve MVPs or not? And they're actually forgetting he's a good player and this team's finally healthy. Yeah. And they're a good team. Matter of fact, I think the Suns should be nervous because if they advance, like the Nuggets are going to destroy them. Like, yeah, I believe that. I do. I said it here first.
I can't go with you on that.
You can come back. You can come back to me and call me on that. I just think Jokic is on a mission that is beyond MVP talk. He's like, I've heard everything. I'm gonna just go out here and start killing people, man. Like, and I'm gonna lead my team to do it.
I don't know. Okay, so again, if we toss it back to last week, and I have pushed this narrative, you can call it narrative you want to, but it's the truth. Nikola Jokic, when the Nuggets were on those initial playoff runs before Jamal Murray got hurt, the Nuggets were not winning those games because of Nikola Jokic. They were winning those games because of Jamal Murray, because Jamal Murray was the best player on the team. Now, of course, that Jamal Murray's been hurt and Jokic just kind of have this run, and he's got 2 straight MVPs.
But how do you think Murray's doing this though? Like everything that happens on that team is because of Jokic. Whether he's doing
it's because of Jokic,
or it's because of his presence.
Well, now it is, but then it wasn't. Like then it was just because Jamal Murray was just the best player on the team. He's not the best.
Jamal Murray is just that dude. All of a sudden, he's just like, they didn't need Jokic. He would have did the same thing, and they would have won anyway.
No. What I'm saying is before. So
I'm gonna drink this while you come up with this.
No, what I'm saying,
story. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is before Jamal Murray got hurt and he missed those 2 seasons with the injury, Jamal Murray was the best player on this team come playoff time. And we saw that in the bubble. Like the things that he did in the bubble were amazing. Now,
are we really basing people's whole player profile off the bubble? Because this could get very interesting.
No, it's not just the bubble. He had consistently proven to be a reliable playoff performer for the Nuggets in a way that Nikola Jokic had not quite got to that point yet in his career. He's there now. And so now Jamal Murray is reaping the benefits of the presence of Nikola Jokic, and people recognize that, Nikola Jokic really is a good basketball player. But
he's reaping the benefits of playing next to the GOAT. Like,
the Nuggets are not
what it is.
Destroy the Suns. That's such a asinine thing to say.
Oh, man, I just who are the Suns playing right now?
They're playing the Clippers.
Okay, so they're basically in the G League team because there ain't no Kawhi out there. Okay. There's no PG.
Okay. What does that have to do?
They're struggling, and this is not like an easy series for them. That's like the biggest indictment is
because they're a well-coached basketball team.
Yo, you have KD, Booker, CP. I know people hate DeAndre. I know people hate Ayton.
The game the Clippers won, Kawhi and Paul George played in that game. No, Paul George, but Kawhi played in that game, and he had a great game, and the Clippers won. It's not like the Suns are dropping games when now that Kawhi has been gone.
Bro, the Suns basically are just free ride. They got a first round bye.
The Nuggets got a first round bye. You're not going to sit here and tell me that the Suns have a first round bye and the Nuggets don't.
Who's a better team right now, the Clippers or the Timberwolves?
The Clippers are better than the Timberwolves, JT.
Without Kawhi and without Paul George, the Clippers are better than the Timberwolves.
No, not now. But going into the series,
I'm talking about what they've actually had to face.
But but this is what I'm saying. When you look at the game that the Suns lost in their series, they lost game 1 when Kawhi played
with one knee. They lost to a guy with one knee without his sidekick.
He still played a great game. He still played a great game in game 1. The Nugget and Russ played a great game in game 1 also. The Nuggets lost last night in overtime to the Timberwolves. I don't want to have this conversation with you because we got to do this. This is what I hate about everybody on this damn team. We always making excuses for them. Always making excuses for KD. Always making excuses for Devin Booker's overrated ass. We're always making excuses for CP3. And our answer to all their failures is to shit on Ayton. Like they should be runaway favorites regardless of who they're playing. The Suns don't look like that. The Suns haven't failed. They've lost one game.
They always fail.
They've lost one game. They haven't
played a real playoff game yet, man.
Since KD's been on the roster, they've lost one game. It was game 1. What do you mean? They've lost one game since KD's been on the roster, and all of a sudden the Suns are.
But KD also missed the.
This is the exaggerations that I talk about with you, JT. You make these. You're trying to make such a grandeur point, and you're going.
I'm not. You just got really triggered because I said that the Suns will be in trouble if they play the Nuggets. That's true.
They'll get destroyed.
They'll get destroyed.
No, they won't.
That game will be 6 games max. I think they'll win it in 5.
No, the Suns are
they
not.
Gotta show me something. What if the Suns show you? What if the Suns show you like, hey, look, just set it and forget it. That has never been that way with any of those guys.
What have the Nuggets shown you that's just set it and forget it?
Hey,
nothing.
Nothing. Look, I was on Justin's show last night, and he kept saying this. He kept saying this old saying. I know he's an older guy. The big hitter, future past is past action. So everybody on this team fails when it's on them. Like, this is what I see. Sorry, I have no faith in the Suns.
Who's failed?
Everybody's failed. KD's failed on his own. Chris Paul is captain failure.
Durant
Devin Booker swear that they just touched him like and he's just above being criticized. Like, none of them have done anything.
This KD has failed narrative on his own.
He hasn't?
It's the laziest and it's the lowest hanging fruit of any narrative that you could possibly throw at any superstar in the last 5 to 10 years. That's absurd.
KD is out here being billed as generational guy.
He is generational. How many players?
Jokic are actually doing it, and we're mad at him because he's winning MVPs.
How many players in the history of basketball have we seen like Kevin Durant? How many?
None.
But so he's not generational. But
none talent-wise, but that's-wise I've seen a lot of them. Guys that can't get it done. As a matter of fact, I see 2 on the same team.
How has KD not been able to get it done?
Simple. Anytime he's not played with the Warriors, he hasn't gotten it done.
He cannot continue to do this thing where we sit here and we say,
so it's okay to let KD pass because he's this cool shiny card that we've never seen before, but we shit on Russell Westbrook like he was at once one of the greatest players in the NBA. No
one's giving Kevin Durant a pass.
They do. You pass right now.
I'm not giving KD a pass. What are you talking about?
He got a lifetime pass from you right now. That's how it sounds.
KD was established before Golden State. He was established after Golden State. Like, I don't know why we keep doing this thing with Kevin Durant where we act like he was a nobody before he got to Golden State. And
nobody said he was a nobody, but you're right. He is established. He's a certified choker without Golden State.
He was a 4-time scoring champion before he got to Golden State. The youngest scoring champion of all time. He won an MVP before he got to Golden State. He made it to the finals before he got to Golden State. And he ran into LeBron James in his prime before he got to Golden State. Sure, he wins 2 championships. Does he benefit from being in Golden State? I'm not going to lie to you and sit here and act like he doesn't benefit from being in Golden State.
I thought you were going to try to make some case where it was all about him.
But he was also the best player on that team in Golden State. He goes to Brooklyn. The first year he was in Brooklyn, he didn't have an Achilles, so he didn't play basketball. The second year he was in Brooklyn, everybody around him got hurt. There was all this other nonsense. He almost beat the Bucks by himself. And then last season he got swept because Kyrie Irving didn't play the entire season almost because he didn't want to get vaccinated, so they had a lower seed than they should have had. And the crazy thing about this whole Kevin Durant thing is we sit here and we spend all this time when he was in Brooklyn blaming Steve Nash. We talked about Joe Tsai. We were talking about Sean Marks. We talked about James Harden being fat. We talked about the lack of defense, the lack of depth. We talked about Kyrie Irving, and somehow it's still all KD's fault. How? When he was the one that was
you the man.
He was the one that
You're the person that put this together. You're the most talented. KD is equivalent to a quarterback. If that was a football team, we'd be blaming the quarterback. Nobody cares about the receiver who dropped the ball and didn't show up. It's the quarterback.
Kevin Durant is the only player in the history of basketball to show up, do his job, and get blamed for other people's misfortunes and shortcomings. He's the only person we've done this to. We did all that. We spent 3 years, JT, talking about how Kyrie was unreliable and how he was this and how he was that and how he should have did this and how he should have did that and all this other stuff. But somehow the Nets not make it to the finals winning championship is KD's fault when KD was there.
You're damn right. He's the man. He's the man. Because guess what? If it was LeBron, nobody would give a shit. They'd be like, LeBron is supposed to be a GOAT and he's supposed to get it done. The media has always made excuses for Kevin Durant. He always gets some kind of pass. We are so realistic when it comes to Kevin Durant's expectations, but we don't keep that same energy for other superstars that are generational.
How many players in the history of basketball or sports in general have ever won a championship, a team sports championship, by themselves?
Joe Namath.
Nobody. Who?
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath? What? I care about Broadway Joe Namath.
Yeah, you better not go to New York and say that.
I care about
you better stay in D.C. because you can't mess with Broadway Joe in New York.
We sit here and we acknowledge.
Tom Brady's done it plenty of times.
Who?
Tom Brady's won by himself plenty of times.
Tom Brady has never won a championship by himself.
You crazy, bro.
Tom
Brady got a couple in the bag by himself.
He has 7 of them. Name me.
Patrick Mahomes just won a Super Bowl by himself.
Patrick Mahomes did not win that Super Bowl by himself.
Patrick Mahomes just won a Super Bowl by himself.
Stop it.
It's been done. You can get it done. Let's face it, man. KD is the most elite, talented mercenary ever. He's like, I know this might be old. You remember the movie Terminator 2, Judgment Day?
Yeah.
KD is T-1000. It's just amazing in every way. Like the technical advancements is just insane. Like, the original should not beat him, but they still keep finding a way to beat him, no matter how advanced this dude is. Like, KD is just a guy that got to show me he can get it done before I have this faith in him.
Kevin Durant is the only player in the history of basketball to get blamed for other people's shortcomings.
Oh, that's not true.
I will continue to say that. You cannot sit here. We spend 3 consecutive regular seasons and 3 consecutive off seasons talking Kyrie this and Kyrie that, Kyrie this and Kyrie that, James Harden this, James Harden that, Joe Tsai, Sean Marks, Steve Nash.
You going through all this again for your boy KD. I tell you what.
I'll come playoff time.
You better get a KD jersey next time I see you. The way you cape it up for this band. Like, I can see the little cape flying right here.
If I died tomorrow and KD has no fans and I die tomorrow, KD has no fans. You got me. You can't sit here. I refuse. You are not.
I know what this is about, man. You just want him to come home. Marcus, he never coming home. No matter how much you caper for him, he's never coming back.
Coming back where?
You seen The Dark Knight Rises with the kid's ass? Is he coming back? He ain't coming back, bro.
Coming back where?
He's not coming back to DC.
I don't want him to come play for the Wizards. I don't want him to play in DC. I don't want him to. I want that.
KD signs with the Wizards. You're gonna be there every game.
Because he's box office. But I wouldn't want that for him. I would love that as a fan of basketball and as a fan of Kevin Durant. I would spend every dollar I have to see KD front and center. If he came, I'd go to all 41 home games, 100%. I don't even like the Wizards. But we we have to stop doing this thing where we act like Kevin Durant has been a nobody outside of Golden State.
Nobody said that. If
Everybody
we would be talking about him.
Everybody acts that way, and that's the problem. We act like Golden State made KD, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Kevin Durant has a Hall of Fame career without Golden State.
That's a conversation for another day about
Kevin Durant's career outside of Golden State
is a conversation for another show about basketball Hall of Fame careers, because everybody who plays 10 years seems to be a Hall of Famer in the NBA.
Okay, that's more to do. First of all, the basketball Hall of Fame isn't just basket. It's not just the NBA. It's your entire basketball career. That's number one. But even still,
that's first right there.
Even if it was just his NBA career outside of Golden State is a Hall of Fame career. And you can't tell me it's not.
I didn't say it wasn't. But I mean, that's not the ringing endorsement you think it is. Like, oh, he got into the Hall of Fame. So a lot of people Hall of Fame.
Kevin Durant.
Bradley Beal is going to the Hall of Fame.
No, he's not. Bradley Beal is not a Hall of Famer.
Bradley Beal going to the Hall of Fame.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
I don't think he is, but Bradley Beal going to the Hall of Fame.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
Karl Anthony Towns will be in the Hall of Fame.
Who?
Karl Anthony Towns will be in the Hall of Fame.
Towns will not. Stop it. You're just saying stuff.
That's how basketball works, man.
You're just talking at this point. You're just saying words.
At this rate, Mikal Bridges is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
No, he's not.
Because he's the best player in the NBA, according to everybody right now. We're so in love with him that he got swept.
You're just saying words. Kevin Durant is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
No doubt. We're not arguing that.
You take away 4 years in Golden State, he's still the first ballot Hall of Famer, and people need to act like it. That's all I'm saying. Last thing before we go, the Sixers, who are going to take on likely the Celtics, haven't played basketball in almost a week because they have swept the Nets. Should the NBA fix the scheduling so that is not happening anymore?
No, because I think there should be a reward in doing your job well. They took care of it. They deserve to get some time. It's no different football. Like, you take care of your business, you get a bye. You get that time off. You get that rest. I mean, this is exactly what they need right now. Embiid is hurt.
Yep.
They need him to get healthy. James Harden hasn't been really 100% all year. Good time for him to get some rest. So, no, reward those guys for taking care of business. It's not their fault they beat the crap out of the team that they faced.
There is one suggestion I would make. I do agree with you, but there is one thing I would change, and I do think it's the most practical change to make. I know that the NBA likes to so usually the Western Conference teams get the late slots because their games on the West Coast start 3 hours before they do here. So they typically get the late slots. The one thing that I do think, though, that should be done is the 4 teams that could possibly match up in the next round. So we'll use the Sixers, Nets, Hawks, and Celtics, for example, because that's how the bracket works. All their games should always be on the same day. I do think that is the fairest way to do it, because even still, if the Nets still get swept by the Sixers, at least that they still played the same days as the Celtics and the Hawks. So it would still have been possible for the Celtics or Hawks to have the same amount of rest as the 76ers and Nets. I do think that's one small change that I think could work, and I think it could work just fine. And you have it, and you've got 2 Eastern Conference games and 2 Western Conference games every day, and you match up the brackets that way, so that if you do have 2 teams that are on the same side of the bracket that'll have to match up with each other, that if they both sweep, they both got a week until the end of the first round to sit back and relax and kick their feet up and rest.
You can't be hating on the Sixers this much, man.
No, I'm not hating on the Sixers.
Somebody might not like that you're even talking about this right now.
No, I'm not hating on the Sixers. I just think that is something the Sixers, because they swept the Nets, the Sixers would have extra rest anyway. Even with what I'm suggesting with them being on the same day, because the Hawks and the Hawks and the Celtics have to play at least one more game. But if you have a game, if you're playing a game every other day, so you play Sunday, then you play Tuesday, then you play Thursday, then you play Saturday. If that's the way that it works, if that's how it's set up, then you still have the same amount of rest in between games, and you would still theoretically, if you handle business, have the same amount of rest before the next series starts. Now, if you get swept, or if you sweep and the other team doesn't sweep, that's not up to you. That's out of your control. And in the case of the Sixers, that's not out of their control. But also, the Sixers, the last time they played a game was what, 3 days ago? When's the last time? The last game was on Saturday. Today's Tuesday. The second round might not start for another week. It's like we might not see the Sixers play basketball again for a week.
Hey, man, let the boys rest.
Which is good for Embiid, but it also could be tough when you have a tough matchup against the Celtics, and they could come out rusty that game.
You had like the Sixers couldn't get waxed. They were playing the Celtics in 7 days or 3. Like the Celtics. Like how you how you want to die? You want to die quick, or you want to at least come up with the plan?
I do think I don't know. I don't think the league would ever do that, but I do think that is the Western Conference teams are always going to get the late slots, like I said, because their games start 3 hours later, and so it's late for us, but it's not late for them. And if you just have 2 Eastern Conference teams and 2 Eastern Conference series and 2 Western Conference series happen each day, and that's just a set. I think number one, as fans, it makes it easier for us to keep track because you don't know what combination of games is going to happen on a given day. So there's that aspect of it also, and then also just individually throughout the round, you'll have 2 days of rest between one game, and it's usually the travel game. Like when you have to travel away, when scenery switches, there's an extra day of rest. Fine, whatever. You can still have that, and that can still exist. But you have a series like the Kings and the Warriors. That's a 45-minute bus ride. Either way, do they need 2 days of rest and they're just driving the length of California, or do they're not changing time zones? You're not dealing with the whole that type of thing. They're not crossing borders. They're in the same state and they're on a bus. A series like that. Let's get this out the way. Let's chop. Let's go. They don't need 2 days of rest between game 2 and game 3. And they're going right up the road.
I want as much rest as possible because that means my product got a chance to rejuvenate.
You're right.
It can have a chance to be healthy and play. So I'm not fighting it. It's just a team that I don't like got the benefit off of it this time around. So
you're right.
Cap to them, man.
You're right. Real quick, there's a game on right now. The Celtics are actually spanking the Hawks, so we're going to see them play the Sixers in a couple days. But the Timberwolves are up 20-12 on the Nuggets. Who do you have winning tonight, Clippers or Suns?
Is that who have winning the Nuggets and the Timberwolves?
No, the Clippers or the Suns.
Oh, the Suns.
No, but they're in danger. You see how you
next round they'll be in danger. Did I plan anybody?
Who are the Nuggets playing? Is the question I want to answer.
I know who the Clippers are playing. I know who the Suns are playing. Nobody. They're playing Ty Lue.
The Nuggets not also playing nobody?
They're playing the brain of Ty Lue.
Are the Nuggets not also playing nobody, JT?
Bro, the Nuggets are playing a healthy team.
The Timberwolves are
Ant-Man is out there doing his thing. I think.
Why are you doing
second most 35-point games in playoff history?
Why are you doing
That's early. Cat's healthy.
Why are you
Bears healthy? Kyle Anderson's hairline is not healthy, but he out there playing. They got a squad.
Why are you doing
Mike Conley healthy?
Why are you doing this?
Who is the best player on the Clippers right now? As I drink my drink.
It's also Westbrook. What's wrong with that? He's been playing great the past couple games.
I rest my case, and we should end it on that. The fact that Russell Westbrook at this point is the best player that Kevin Durant is playing against this series it's not even fair.
The Clippers won game 1 and Kawhi Leonard played when the series was 0-0. The Nuggets had a chance to send the Timberwolves home 2 days ago.
And a great player, had a great game.
You want to talk about giving people passes? They failed. Against the Timberwolves.
Hey man, I hope you adjusted it okay when the Suns don't get it done again.
Well, I'm not a Suns fan. I'm a KD fan.
You a KD fan, so you a Suns fan. You a Suns fan by association this year.
It's going to need to get put on a machine and get put on life support. I will be okay. I will be okay.
You'll be crying for KD when he loses.
I won't be crying for KD. Kevin Durant retires tomorrow. He's going to the Hall of Fame. And that is Kevin Durant's legacy is secure. Whether you, other fans, or any OG basketball player wants to acknowledge it, KD's basketball legacy and his standing against amongst other all-time greats is solidified. He's a top 15 player all time, and he's one of one player. He is generational. That is who he is. There's no amount of championships or shortcomings that will change that. He's top 15. He's a top 15 basketball player ever. He could average a point a game for the rest of his life. He's a top 15 basketball player ever, and there's no changing that. The only way that he can change that is by adding more to his accolades and adding more to his trophy case, and he's moving up the ladder into the top 10, which I think he could do by the time he retires. I think
we gonna see what happens.
Okay, that's fine.
next round gonna be very interesting for the Phoenix Suns. They gonna be on panic watch. So
no, they're not. You're exaggerating the truth.
I'm telling you the truth. You don't want to listen, man. You should be able to see it. You got 2 more eyes than I do. You should be able to see the truth. And you 6'3". You tall with extra eyes. You should be able to see this whole thing developing. You know it's gonna happen.
You don't want to see it. I see it. You are exaggerating the truth, JT, but it's all right. Usually this is the point of the show where I would have JT plug himself, but luckily for us now, you plug JT, you plug me. We're all in the same place. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and follow the Give Us a Shot Network on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. There's so many amazing content. You've got JT and the Don All Sports Podcast. Of course, you got Go Talk Market, Stuff About Sports with Bert and Germ, the Divide Live with Mike and Corey, High Spots Podcast as well. There's so much great content happening throughout the course of the week. If you open YouTube at any point of the day throughout the course of the week, you'll find Give Us a Shot Network doing something. And we're everywhere. So if you can't find us, you're not trying hard enough. If you want to go to all things Give Us a Shot, you can go to giveusashot.network. That's where everyone lives. That's where everything exists. So yeah. Do you have any last words, KD hater?
Nuggets in 6.
That's ridiculous. I can't wait to have you back on the show when the Suns.
You know where to find me. I got a contract now, so I can't go nowhere.
I can't wait for the Suns to put the Nuggets to bed. I can't wait. You'll be on that show after that series is over. But whatever.
Oh, you know exactly where to find me.
Right. Look, we'll get Don here too. Maybe he'll talk some sense into you because
that's easy. 2 for the price of 1.
Oh my God. Thank you guys for watching. It's always a pleasure to have JT on the show. Next time, Don will be here to talk some sense into him. And as always, you guys enjoy the rest of your lives.